Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we will be talking about what is the compensation formula in case of a death or any clinical trial related injury. So we are always talking about serious adverse event in clinical trials, and sometimes death also happens. So how the patient should be compensated? So India is the only country where we have a formula to calculate the compensation. So this doesn't come easily. So if I'll take you little back in the history, and even for our ethical guidelines. So if you look at the Declaration of Helsinki, when it was amended in 2013, it clearly stated that the clinical trial participants, the participants who are participating in a clinical trial, they should be compensated very well. It says that appropriate compensation and treatment for the subject who are harmed as a result of participating in a research must be ensured. So this is ethical perspective. That is one background. The another background is, even when we are looking at your most important form, which is informed consent form, all the regulators, they are emphasizing a lot on that one of the essential element in informed consent form should address the compensation. So compensation is critical. So now let's look at how the formula came into existence in our country, right? So what happened back in 2005 to 2012, and number of deaths in a clinical trial around almost 3000. So over 3000 deaths happen in a clinical trial in India. And this is the petition filed by some NGO in a Supreme Court. They were reporting it that there are deaths happening in a clinical trial, but patients are not being compensated very well. And if you see, this number is 3000, almost 3000, closer to 3000, and only 89 deaths are found related to clinical trial. So they said that out of 3000, only 89 been related to clinical trial. So it means there was not some strict guideline, and out of 89, only 86 paid compensation. So which is again a very less number. If you compare these two numbers, there is a quite a big gap. And the compensation amount, if you look at, it was ranging between 55,000 to 4.5 lakh. 4.2, sometime it in some newspaper it is reported 4.5 and some in 4.2. So let's take even the highest one, 4.5. So the compensation amount was also very less. And another point was raised during that discussion is that they have not defined on what basis they have calculated this compensation amount, on what objective, what goal, how they have determined this compensation. So to resolve this, the Supreme Court of India, they directed the government to bring a regulation, because NGO, they filed a litigation in the court, and the Supreme Court answered to this, and they directed the government to bring some strong regulation. And in response of that, the independent expert committee for clinical trial related death, they were set up, and they proposed certain formula. So the committee was made so that was independent, not right. So they are having very less influence. So independent committee was formed to address this issue, and they proposed some formula. One, of course, is the death, and another is, we all read the definition of SAEs, those 5 criteria: death, hospitalization, prolonged hospitalization, congenital defects, any basically any injury related to clinical trial. So let's look at the what formulas they have proposed. So if we wanted to look at the death, so that one number is the death. So the formula they proposed is B into F into R, and divided by this factor 99.37. So what B here is, B is, they fix the base amount, right? And it is 8 lakh. The base amount is 8 lakh, that is fixed by the committee. Now there are a number of factors that affecting this calculation. age is one of the factor. If because a person who is in his 90 or 60 or compared to the person who is in 20-30 makes a lot of difference, right? So F factor is attached to age. So it is ranging from 200 to in a descending order, somehow 190, 100, 109, something like that. I will show you that factors also, because the government of India, they have a given, like age is 18, this factor should be applied, and it decreases as the age increases. So that factor decreases with the increase of the ages. So this is one of the factor that is applied. Another is risk factor. The risk factor is one of the key point that determine the calculation. So, and how this risk factor is calculated? Suppose person is critical ill. Basically, life is expected less than 6 months. Maybe dealing with some terminal illness, maybe cancer or something like that. So critical ill patient, then point will be added here. How about at high risk? Basically between life expectancy is between 6 to 24 months, that it is expected that patient will live between 6 to 24 months. So if it is less than 6 months, then critical ill. If between 6 to 24, it is high risk patient, then one risk factor will be attached. So moderate risk patient, 2 factor will be risk factor will be applied. Mild risk, 3. And when it comes to healthy volunteer, because they are leading healthy life, factor 4 will be applied. So this is how this compensation formula in case of death is calculated. But there is another point also. If they are saying, if it is expected that 90% chances of mortality, or within 30 days patient may die, right? So if this is the case, then fixed 2 lakh will be paid. So that is what the expert committee proposed in their formula calculation. So this is the current formula which is followed. Even if you are going to DCGI website, you will be able to download this whole complete formula from that place. Now when it comes to clinical trial related injuries, right, there is not a death, but serious adverse event that may be causing permanent disability has happened. So what is the formula? D into 80 into C and over divided by 100 into 100. So what D is here, right? It is disability percentage. Is it 100% or 80%, 70%? What it is? To what percent that person is disabled, right? So that is one. And C is the compensation amount payment to that is payable to patient's nominee in case of the death of the participant. So this is how the compensation is calculated for a serious adverse event, which is called calculating permanent disability, right? And in case if it's life-threatening disease, right, that may be of the chances. So in that case, N into W. N is number of the days for that person is in a life-threatening situation that require maybe medication, that require maybe hospitalization in anything, right? And it doesn't mean that if patient is for 60 days in hospitalization, he or she is in life-threatening stage. That person may be in a life-threatening stage for 5 days, right? For a treatment purpose that was kept in hospital for 60 days. So that depends. And W is the minimum wages. That is, you should keep in mind, unskilled worker. Basically, maybe our labor is earning 700 per day in a Delhi. So that will be taken into account, not a skilled labor. Maybe because if person is doing a job, maybe he or she is earning 5,000 a week, right? But they will be taking unskilled labor wage into account while making a calculation for such scenarios. So now I wanted to show you how the factor that I have shown you, in a death calculation, like if your age is 18, this factor is applied, how that is taken into account. So it is in a decreasing order with the increase of the age. So if you are 16, highest factor is applied 2.228.54. So that is the age of 16. So 228.54 is applied. So as the age is increasing, this will decrease. The factor will decrease. So if I wanted to show you after age 33, it will less than 100. It will come 199. And if the age is above 65, then this factor will be 99.37 only. So this is how it is calculated. So I hope this is helpful to you to understand how the compensation is calculated in India, right? And this is one of the essential thing to know. Thank you so much.